So, we're ready? A few people. So, big pleasure to announce our next speaker, Maciej Trojniarz. He's a big board game enthusiast. He has a huge wall of board games and a very big fan. So he likes to call himself Sorcerer's Apprentice. So he sort of brings that element of fantasy as well into the office and into his role as a software engineer. So, and he will expand on today's topic on a known idea of dev and test pairing with just a hint of magic. So, let me welcome Maciej Trojniarz.
Okay. So first of all, I would like to ask the audience, because this is the privilege of the speaker, what is like the thing that stands behind the Agile and like Agile methodologies, in contradictory to the waterfall methods?
Communication is more important than development.
Okay, communication is more, yeah, okay, yeah. What was like the primary shift between those two? First.
In Agile, we deliver the pieces.
Okay, in Agile, we deliver the pieces. Cool.
Well, with Agile, you got feedback. With waterfall, there is no feedback. You just do it.
Okay, cool. We have the feedback.
I would say that because of big projects, they have a problem of allocating resources. So they said that it must be allocated dynamically, then put in on the waste because it's in wrong factory.
Okay, so I didn't get answer that I was expecting. So I will check one thing. Who is a developer in the room? Okay, who is a tester in the room? Cool. Who is Scrum Master? Okay, and maybe let's ask as well about PMs, managers. Okay. So yeah, like my talk is about the dev test pairing. For me, like the biggest shift between those two is something how we can deal with the cause of defects, because in the waterfall methods, the time that elapsed from the developing the feature that is with the defect to the actual evaluation of this feature is long time, because we are presenting this after the finishing whole project, so somewhere here. So cost of fixing any defect is much higher. There was a studies from IBM, I don't remember right now the values, but it was shown that if we will detect the defect on the requirements phase, we are not paying for the developing the thing, testing the thing, any financial penalties due to our contracts with our customers and things like that. For me, like very important is that we are shifting our quality assurance to the left, so to the beginning of the project, and we are checking this quality constantly during the project, not after the finishing the work. So for me, like this is the major thing that I would like to focus today on my presentation about the dev test pairing. I suppose that many of you have heard about pair programming. Yeah, half of the audience. I hope that all, but someone is too lazy to raise a hand. Okay, so there are technical practices that two developers sit together and write the code, the same piece of code, with the two pairs of eyes looking into the code. So it ensures better quality, because then the other person can spot the things that the first one haven't even noticed. It helps with reduction of the bugs, because then it's constantly checked in the heads with the two programmers how this code will behave. But my presentation is about dev test pairing. So something that I haven't heard that much on any conference, on any speaks, any like papers, to maybe try combine the skill sets of two completely different roles. Because usually, like there is this big fight that you have the developers and the testers. They don't like each other. To be honest, those are like two different skill sets that combined could lead to even better software. So I really like this picture about how the point of view, how the point of view influence how we perceive the things. So for this guy, this is 9, obviously. He sees 9, but for this guy, it's 6. And this guy tries to convince this one that this is 9. So this is like primary source of those fights between devs and testers, because devs often see, I've met all of the requirements written in the documentation, and the tester says, you know what, but our customers, when we will be using that one, it will be not intuitive for them, it will be misleading or something. So those are like two different points of view. And to be honest, there is as well the third point of view, like business. So if we will see I forgot the name in the English, but this rotating figure. Cylinder, oh yeah, cylinder. So from this angle, you see just the circle. From this angle, you see only the rectangle, but it's not the circle, not the rectangle. So we need to have as well the third perspective, which in our company we achieve with our process called Three Amigos. So Three Amigos is like business representative, so product owner most of the time, tester, and the developer. So we are meeting each other and talk about the requirements, about user story, about the ethics. So then we can confront those 3 points of view. Because we have the business owner that he knows what he wants, like what problems he wants to solve. We have the developers that have a lot of the solutions to a lot of the problems and generate a lot of the problems as well. And the testers that are like focused on like searching for the problems before they will appear in the software. So our process is maybe sometimes long because we can discuss the story that takes, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 hours to develop, like write the code. We could discuss about this half hour, 1 hour, but then after this discussion, we don't have the problems with the testers will rise some bugs that we were not aware about on the beginning. So what helps us with this approach? Who have heard about the BDD or behavior-driven development? Okay, so this is like a way of developing the software that you are gathering the requirements like following. Given I have some circumstances in the system, when I do something, so for example, when I press delete on the user, then something happens. If we will have the set of the rules, like clearly written, what are the steps of our requirements, we could then use it as a verification, as a point of reference when we develop anything. Because we can always go with the examples, because the very important thing is that those are rules, but then we need to specify the examples. So specific examples like admin user with some permissions can do something, or without this permission, when he tries to delete, he cannot. So those are like very concrete examples how our system behaves. And then because of these really strict specific examples, we can then write the automated tests for those scenarios. Because we have all of the conditions in the system, we have the action, and then we have all of the verifications in one place, which is like the description of our ticket. So about conforming the different point of view, I really like the one story about the testers. So for me, like testers are like amazing people because they see the problems sometimes that we don't see as a developers. Sometimes it's other way around, but I really like this anecdote about these self-service cash machines in supermarkets. That one of the guy raised a problem with staff of the supermarket that this machine is broken. And the guys came to this guy and, what is the broken here? Because I've just put the number of the bags that I want to pack my things into, and it like crashes. And the guy goes, how is it possible? It was tested, it was checked, everything was fine. And he asked, what you have done to this? Oh, I've just added there like 2 billion, 35 million, something 100 of the bags, pieces. And the guy was, but why? And this tester was, I don't know, I could, so I just typed this number into the system. So this is really funny situation that never happens, but I know that all of the systems in the world are always constantly like broken with this kind of impulse. Because if you don't have the validation, nothing preserves the user to use it in that way. Like the more tragic story for the software and hardware as a project was the way how you could steal from the cash machines like those ATM thing. Because it was in the software that if you haven't like pick up the money, it was going back to your like account. And it occurs that if you take 5 out of 6 and even 1 left there, it was still returning back whole amount to your account. So you could steal from the ATM machine just by not taking all of the banknotes after like withdrawal. So it was like serious issue. I heard it from one of the security specialists that Polish guys go even further. So to get all of the money, they put the fork in this machine, and then the machine thought that there is some money, so this machine was taking this fork almost inside itself. So this shows that we are often not aware about the consequences of our requirements in the software. And it's really important to have these like talented people in searching this like weird corner. Something most people state edge cases. I like the name corner cases because most often those bugs happens if 2 edge cases cross each other. So yeah, the funny corner case. So the circle is like all of the possibilities that you could enter to the software. Those are constraints of the software. So we clearly see that not everything is covered by the software. And it's really hard to find these corner cases. In my team, there is a job that I am the corner case guy. And yeah, I must admit that with every story, I look for those holes in the requirements, and almost no stories is those hole freeze. So my product owner is really frustrated when I'm asking, what if user will put this, and the other user put this, and those 2 flows of data will like meet each other, because it leads to the non-deterministic output. And in software, if something is not deterministic, probably it's a bug or some defect that we need to write. So about those corner cases, I had a really fun story. We had in the team like one of the testers that was always putting like crazy stuff inside all the fields in the forms. So one day she was not in the office, so we were free of the testers. So yeah, develop all the things without the test. But we are practicing the TDD. So writing the test first, then implementation, then check if there is any requirement missed by the test, write the test again, and do it those circles. And I remember that we were developing this in the pair, and we have like for the phone number we have figured out like 9 different possibilities how you can put the correct number into the software, and then we are almost done. And my colleague like asked me, let's think what Ilona would do here. And I was, oh yeah, sure. We could put empty string into form. We could put in the API, not set the value, so it's null, so even worse than empty field. And like a couple more examples. Like I would write just a string, not numbers. And for us, it was like obvious. We are dealing with the phone numbers, so we can have only like dashes, parentheses, and numbers. And, no, you can put their dollars, you can put anything you want to the field if there is no validation. So even with keeping in mind that someone could have like different perspective helps you with developing. And if you have the tester next to you, he can help you with discovering like some weird test cases that is maybe nice to have in the software, or just checking your test cases, because often you write the tests that are pointless in sense of the business logic. You're putting there like assumptions that you have, but business don't need to have them, and whatever other like your bias can be, like your flaws in the perception of the word or requirements. So question to you, what could possibly go wrong with the email address?
Empty host?
Empty host, so the thing after the @ sign, so małpa in Polish.
Use national characters.
National characters, what with them? What is the problem?
I think when you send, some servers don't accept it.
Okay, yes, some servers don't accept it, yes. But if you are doing like cloud-based software and your logins mail, you need to accept them, because there is new standard, which is in the field like 5 years right now, that you can put every crazy character like O, N, C.
Yes, but some local server who received the message
Could not understand the
Yes.
coding, yeah.
So, for example, if you have the register form and you send the password to the customers, then don't receive it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, so there is a lot of those things. And we have discovered, for example, that from one of the libraries that we are widely used in the JavaScript, is validate.js. They have this validator for email. And it occurs that this validator in like worldwide JS library doesn't accept the OL because it's like exception. No Chinese characters, no Cyrillic, nothing at all, just Latin based. And this is the standard that was like in the industry 5 years ago, and no one cares about those things because most of the servers doesn't allow to put OM, T, and other diacritic characters in the emails. But you need to be prepared that someone will start using that. So this is like one of the corner cases that in the past you couldn't do this, but right now you can. No one will stop you. Especially now if those DNS names have changed, that there is like more freedom in setting the names of the website and things like that. Okay, but I was talking about the benefits for the developers from this perspective. Because I'm a developer, so I start with developers. I benefit from my testers a lot. What testers can benefit from the cooperation with developers? Anyone?
So first they can understand the point of view of the developers, which can help them improve for the future.
Okay, first they can understand the point of view with developers. This will improve in the future. both like quality of the software and quality of the team, because there will be more trust between each party. Yeah.
And they will have the bugs quicker resolved when they explain.
Yeah, there will be quicker resolving of the bugs. Cool.
If you use the BDD or PDD, write the test before, then is the better chances to prepare the big list of the exceptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. If you write in the beginning of the test, you can discover more exceptions and things like that. Cool. What more?
Don't have to write bug reports anymore.
Yeah, they don't need to write those bug reports. Yeah, people and interactions over the tools and processes. Yeah, great.
And is the short time to move to the production, because the test start the first, then people don't wait for the tester.
Okay,
the
so-
project is when we develop, and next is the test, and we come back to develop.
Okay, so we are avoiding those ping pong between the test assurance and developers up and down, and we, in the end, we see the time to market to be shorter. But this is the company that, but still the tester that.
The tester has more time for testing.
Tester have more time for testing.
They can
Could you like extend the?
yeah, because you can start testing sooner and see bugs earlier, and they don't tell you just wait until we finish this even this increment.
Mhm.
Wait, and I don't want to wait. I want to see the requirements. I want to check if they are concise and if they make sense to me, and report the bugs as quickly as possible.
Cool. Yeah. So we save the time that we are not waiting to the end of the testing phase. Just have this quicker feedback.
For me, as a developer, the most interesting thing with working with testers early is to define previously what is going to be a bug and what is not going to be.
Okay, so define what is the bug, what is the missed requirement, for example, or
What is a feature, and we say, right, we agree that we're not going to support that, so it's not going to constitute a bug. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or we say, that's interesting, we need to support that. We're going to put it to a different story that's going to go right after this, just to keep the story small. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, so we are then more clear about the requirements of our work. So something can be out of scope of some kind of work because maybe this doesn't happen a lot. Maybe it's not harmful at all. So even that we have these bugs, like in the Ashley keynote, Krzysztof, who was sitting there, he was like saying that we should be not fault-free, but fault-tolerant. So then we tolerate that our software is not the perfect one, but at least it achieves all of the business requirements. So I think that this is this direction that we can add. So then there is as well the thing about more time for testing. For me, it's like if we have set of the testers that just go through our application over and over again, every change in the application needs to go over and over again. So I was speaking with a lot of the testers back in the days when I was starting, and they were stating that they feel like the robots. They need just to click everything through every time that something changes. So with the developer mindset, we like how to automate all of the things. Even sometimes making a coffee in the morning is automated as well. So you can use those pair, not only for developing the things, but develop as well the tests that will run automatically without any interference from the other people. Like you can have the test that will check your software before releasing to the production, and even the test that will run on the production environment and check if everything happened correctly and everything runs after the deployment. Because sometimes after the deployment, everything breaks. Okay. What more? So I will ask the developers, what you have learned in your career from the testers?
To ask annoying questions.
To ask annoying questions.
In kickoffs. Annoying in the good sense that instead of saying, yeah, we know what we're doing, no, annoying to say, no, stop and think about this.
Okay, so you have learned this on the starting the work, think through the work to avoid them.
So the most important thing I think I learned is developers have a weird sense of building software the way they think it should be used, while testers going to say, well, this is not how the people are going to use it. And that was the biggest change for me, that don't build software in the way you would use it, because it's people using it.
Yeah, nice catch. But we will, as a developers, receive this point of view of the user, not the developer, because developers would everything code into command lines. Okay? Anything more from the devs?
I would say that also the look on the application, like I'm not making a mathematical perfection, I'm making something as a tool. And tester actually will make this thing that show that you're supposed not to look at this is my baby and my baby is perfect, but look at it as a whole because none of the babies are perfect. So this is the thing.
Nice metaphor. Okay, so I would ask the second, okay, the testers. What testers learn from the developers if they have the chance to work with them?
Logic of the work, because sometimes the tester don't focus only on the result. And if the huge possibility, the background process is complicated. That is the better chance if you use a lot of the classes, understand how it works.
Okay, so understanding the logic behind our working software, how it's built inside. Okay, what more? Come on, testers, you don't learn anything from this? Nothing at all?
To be precise.
To be precise, okay, yeah, this is really important. Also, devs, we are mathematically precise with things that we are doing. Cool.
I would say developers sometimes, instead of fixing a thing, that would be clean fix, they do a lot of workarounds. So yeah, that's what I learned, that sometimes you don't fix a thing, you just put another on top of it, and it works, and that's okay, that's enough.
Okay, yeah, some devs will do things like that, yeah. I know that duct tapes are the best tool everywhere, so you're duct taping everything.
But it works.
It works, yeah, cool, nice. What more?
Usually programmers can help with delivering some tools, testers.
Yeah.
Because usually testers don't code as well as programmers. So if you need to virtualize something, you want to create some simulating virtual machine, for example, or you need some scripts that will execute something automatically, then you can just go to the developer and usually they will help you. And that's advantage when your team is right to testers, when the developer is right to testers. They can jump from one desk to another and just ask for favor.
So we have this advantage of possibility of building the tools to automate the things. Yeah, that's really important.
You can learn programming.
Yeah, you can teach testers programming. And to be honest, we have teaching our testers how to write the code in JS to test the websites. Or I think that this is the most fun thing, that we have taught our testers new way how to break the things, just to check if something can even break. So we have teaching the testers how the HTTP calls works, underneath how the whole communication works, what can possibly go wrong with that one, and a couple of ways how to like force those things. How to use, for example, DevTools in the web browsers to discover that there are some errors hidden behind the interface. So yeah, like knowledge sharing, because testers have different like set of the skills. Okay. So what are benefits for the companies from this cooperation then?
Low cost of development.
Low cost of development,
Better software.
better software. I think this is more important than cost.
Saving time.
Saving time, yeah.
Better working relationships.
Better working relationships. You don't have these fights.
Happy staff, less churn.
Happy staff, less churn, so these financial things.
Less staff churn.
Oh, staff churn. Okay. So it's attrition, right? Yeah. What else? The companies can benefit from.
I think that maybe if the testers go with the testing and TDD, developers go broadly with the developing the code and start implementing features like maybe business will like it and actually the business does like it and so as a product, maybe. So more products in portfolio.
More products in portfolio because of developing additional things. Yeah. So cooperation with the product owners maybe, who is from the product side, like the management side of the product. What are benefits there? More of them.
Less questions.
Less questions. Okay, we can go to the questions then from the audience to the speaker. So not that nice part, that other way around for me, but
Maybe you get bigger pipeline, so you can set more sort of tickets, more jobs you can work on.
okay, so getting like quicker pipeline, right? Not bigger necessarily, but quicker.
Yeah, more items
Yeah,
in the pipeline.
better flow through the system.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm waiting now for the questions. We have a couple of minutes.
Cool. So I have the first one. A lot of companies divide development and quality assurance, which in a way builds silos. Some people develop the code and then some people gonna test it. How would you approach that? Do you think it's possible in those organizations for testers and developers to work together as well?
There are ways to deal with this problem that we have separated teams like developers and testers. You can, for example, treat the testing as a service. So like, let the testers to the team to test it along the way. So this is the one way. The other way, I really don't like the name quality assurance department, because the quality assurance is at the beginning, not at the end of the chain. At the end, it will be quality checks, not assurance. So yeah, like this graph that I have, like having the testers outside the team is making you a lot of the cost just because of the process, not because of your software or skills in the team.
But if you have those separate teams, you still can encourage communication more often, not to wait until the end of the process of even increment. If they communicate every day, it should work.
Yeah, it should work. But then, should we consider those testers that would communicate along the way, all the time, as outside of the team? Or is only the business organization different, but it's one team?
Might be two teams, but they need to collaborate.
Okay.
They should have common goal.
Yeah, common goal, collaboration, and yeah, this is always striking me that people think in terms of teams, that we are separate teams. No, we are one company that have one goal. So I consider often like this situation. If I have the tester that I can speak every day, every minute if I have the problems, and other way around, the tester can speak with the developers. There is some kind of the team, anyway, not the formal one in the organization chart, but this kind of the team. Common goal, communication, what else defines the team? The team is a group of people that have the common goal and work together. So I would encourage to shift the testing as soon as possible, even for the organization that have these org charts really big. Any more questions? Opinions?
What do you enjoy the most in working with testers?
What I enjoy the most? Well, part of which is I'm learning the new stuff from the testers. The other part, I can teach my skills, so use my knowledge to help someone getting better. So there's two not related to work directly. The other thing is that I've learned how to find the corner cases myself. And I've done this in previous companies that I had a brilliant tester who was finding these corner cases like this. The requirement he had 3 automated tests before we have started development that will break our software. And it was always like that. So yeah, I think that knowledge sharing and combining those skill sets to have better software.
And could you give us an example when a tester showed us something that you wouldn't even think of? Real story.
I know one real story, which is crazy, but one of the telecommunication companies have right now in the test suite of the hardware that they have, the scenario that they unplug and plug the network to the communication device and checks if every call that was through this device still works and if the software works, because it was the case that if there was some small outage of the network connectivity, the whole hardware stops working at all. So yeah, they have now the additional check. I'm waiting for more questions. I'm not biting.
Okay, so pretty much if we try to destroy the silos between the development and test and connect them together and make something like software development in test, what would be the next silo to connect with? Products or management or I don't know, support? Sorry.
I would say that first ops. So we will have the proper DevOps, everything in one team that is able to develop feature from the start to the production without any impediments connections between the teams. And yeah, we have the product owner. Product owner is part of the Scrum team. If someone don't believe it, the Scrum guy says that product owner is part of the team. So you have this business inside the team anyway, in the Scrum at least, and in most of the other frameworks.
I'll probably add security to that as well.
Yeah, security. This is something that I forgot to mention because testers could have different specialties. Some of the testers could be performance testers, some security testers. So if we have the skill set in the testers from the security point of view, you have this embedded. Yeah, but it's worth to mention. If that's all, I will add you 5 more minutes to the break. I am available here through all the conference and in after party, so we can talk about it. Well,
Thank you very much. So yeah.